Welcome to the channel. I'd like to talk to you about current today. And current, you're not always in current, but when you do, it can have a profound impact on your maneuverability. So let's talk about it. The last video I did was on wind, and I'm going to use an old model to kind of give you a 3D picture of what's going on. And so when we talk about wind, we talk about from the water's edge up. And we call this sail area. And I think it makes sense. The wind's coming in and it's blowing and it's pushing the boat. When you turn your bow into the wind, now the profile, it's coming from the pointy end here, and all your sail area is just this point and a little bit of the pilot house. And as you increase, as you turn yourself into the wind and it is able to push you back, well, current is the same thing, except now current is from the water's edge down to the keel. Okay? Again, just like an arrow, if you're bowing to the current, you've got the pointy end, you've got the water's going to flow right back here, but as you turn and you get hit sideways on the current is going to push your boat, and that's called set. All right, so that's what's going on. I think sometimes the best way to learn anything is to learn from somebody else's mistakes. And today I'm going to share with you not one of my brighter points in my boating career. I was bringing a 180-foot buoy tender into a small harbor. It was my turn to con the ship into our mooring, and this is what happened. So let me give you the layout here first. This is my track line. I'm going to come in, turn at this buoy, and go into the harbor. This is a point of land over here. This is the blue is shallow water. Blue is shallow water over here. Okay, so I'm coming in, and in a perfect world, I would have just come up, turned, gone in, and boom. But here's what happened to me. I've got current hitting me. So I'm on my track line, and I'm not really paying attention. And this is the days before chart plotters. So anyway, I'm coming, and I'm getting set, and I can see out the window that I'm pointing right at the buoy. So I correct, but I haven't corrected enough. And what happens is my bow clears the buoy, midships clears the buoy, and my stern, I just about hit this buoy. I mean, by the skin of my teeth. The captain was not overly impressed. We had this discussion, and I exercised my options. If I wanted to clear this buoy with my stern, I could have given a command like right full rudder, which if I want my stern to go, we've talked about this, if I want my stern to go to the left, the bow is going to go to the right. Remember we talked about a boat being on a pivot point? So if I want my stern to go over here, my bow is going to go towards that shallow water. I clear the buoy. Now I've got to give a command left full rudder. Now I'm spinning my stern into this with my screw into this shallow water. Come over here. I'm cattywampus on the next gate, and I just felt like it was going to be a mess. So I did what I did. Now I think he probably would have liked to have seen maybe 10 degrees left rudder, or right rudder rather, and kicked it out just a little bit. I don't know. I did what I did. And so what would I do today? Again, there's been a lot of time in the seat now. I would have looked at this whole area a little bit differently. I know the current is coming down this way, so when I brought the boat in, I would go right into that current. I wouldn't care. I think sometimes we get fixated, or we get looking down the end of the pipe at the track line here, and I should have come over. because if anything went wrong, if I lost my engines or I had a steering problem or anything, it would give me this much more time to just drift over before I got into the shallow water. What I did from the get-go on the first, on the actual event was I was heading towards shallow water the whole time, and I shouldn't have been doing that. So I would today come into that, get right into that current and make a nice easy turn, and there would have been no stress, nobody would have been angry, life would have been grand. So know what the current's doing to you and then make your plans accordingly. Let me share one more story with you here. Okay, in 1983, we responded to a tug that sank in the Cape Cod Canal. It was carrying, the barge had, I believe, 160,000 barrels of gasoline on it. And so here's what happened. We'll call this the canal. And the tug was towing a barge, and we'll simulate this as a barge. It was on a short tow. Now, we talk about current going into the, I've said this with the wind and the current, putting your bow into the wind, putting your bow into the current. But now let's talk about having current coming from astern. And this is what happened. When you're operating in current and it's behind you, you have to be going faster than the current, or not good things happen. If you're just by yourself, you don't have a tow, your rudder will get really squishy. It doesn't respond well. The boat doesn't turn like it should. You need to get some water going past that rudder in order for it to respond. So if you're in a 2 or 3 knot current, you need to be going 4 or 5 knots to have that efficiency. Well, this is what happened with the tug. They weren't going faster than the current, and this barge passed them, just like this. And they look out, and the tow line now comes down, and it goes under the tugboat, and it's still attached to the bow of the boat here. And it was in April, I don't remember exactly, but for some reason they had the engine hatch open. And when that fetched up, that tow line, or I think it was wire rope, fetched up, it just pulled the tug right down, filled up the engine room, and it sunk like a cup. Luckily, the crew stepped right off of the tug onto the barge. Nobody even got wet, so it was a good in that regard. But it closed down the Cape Cod Canal for several months. They could only work on this thing about an hour a day because of the current. They could only work on it at slack tide, and it took them forever to be able to refloat that tug. So again, current and wind both are going to be in your lives as a boater, and you need to identify them, and you need to figure out how you're going to have them work for you and not work against you. And I will say this in closing, you have the world of chart plotters now, and a lot of work has gone in over the years of putting data into these chart plotters. You can actually, there's a setting on all of them now that will give you where the current direction and the current speed, and it's displayed on your plotter all the time. And you don't even really have to think about it. You can just, you're going in, you take a look, oh look, the current's pushing me this way. Your boat is in the middle of the screen. You can see everything that's going on with you. All of the sea stories that I'm telling you here can be alleviated by technology, and I think they're wonderful pieces of gear. If you don't have one, you should definitely figure out a way. Sell Coke cans, I don't care what you do, but you need to get a chart plotter, get it on there, activate this setting on your plotter, and then have a great time. All right, my next video is going to be taking advantage of the winter months and getting some things done that you probably don't have time. And if you do these in the summertime, if you do these things, you're going to have a wonderful this next boating season. So I always appreciate you stopping by. If you're getting anything out of these, I appreciate a like. You're welcome to subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thank you.